For years, whenever anyone talked about solar, one number always seemed to come up: 30%. We're talking about that big federal tax credit, of course. But with that incentive ending, everyone's asking the same question: what now? And honestly, a lot of people are worried. They think this is it. There's this genuine fear that without that huge discount, the whole solar industry might just stop. But is that the real story? Let's dig in and find out. Yeah, for a lot of folks inside the industry, this whole situation feels like a looming solar apocalypse. It's this big, scary idea that the main reason people buy solar is about to just vanish. And you know what? That fear is totally understandable. I mean, for more than a decade, the sales pitch has been, hey, the government gives you 30% back. That's a huge deal. So what on earth happens when you can't say that anymore? To figure that out, we actually need to take a step back in time.
Okay, so let's jump in a time machine and go way back to a time before that 30% tax credit was the star of the show. We're going to do that by looking at the personal journey of Luis Barreto, a guy who got into solar way back in 2008.
So check this out. Back in 2008, he takes a solar course with his dad. A year later, in 2009, he's starting his own solar company in Puerto Rico. And here's the key thing, the thing you really got to remember. This was all before the 30% credit was a household name. It wasn't until he packed up and moved to Florida in 2016 that he realized it was all anyone wanted to talk about. And get this price point, $8 a watt. That is almost 3 times what solar costs today. And still, people were buying it. So why? Well, think about it. On a grid as fragile as Puerto Rico's, having reliable power wasn't some nice-to-have luxury. It was a straight-up necessity. And just look at who his first customers were. We're not talking about homeowners trying to shave a little off their tax bill. We're talking about businesses, institutions that literally couldn't afford for the lights to go out. Dairy farms need to keep things cold. Warehouses have to keep running. They weren't buying a discount, they were buying production and reliability. And that right there brings us to the real heart of this whole thing. See, while that tax credit was a fantastic talking point, it was never the real reason solar was destined to take off. The true engine behind all of this has always been, and will always be, the simple math. Okay, this slide right here says it all. Back in 2016, when the tax credit was the big thing, solar cost about $4 a watt, and utility power was pretty cheap. Now, look at today. The cost of solar has totally cratered. Well, the price you pay the utility company has basically doubled. You've got 2 lines on a graph, and they're heading in completely opposite directions. Just let that sink in for a second. The technology itself, the panels, the hardware, it's cheaper right now than it has ever been. We're talking an average cost of around $2.75 per watt. Just incredible. And while that was happening, the alternative, just sticking with the utility company, got twice as expensive. This is the big shift, the fundamental economic earthquake that is way more important than any temporary government program. So here's the bottom line, the main takeaway. The tax credit didn't make solar a good idea. The math already made it a good idea. The credit just made a great deal even sweeter. The real reason this all works is the math, and that math just keeps getting better and better. Okay, so if you think that trend of falling costs and rising prices is interesting, just wait, because we're moving into a new phase now. We're shifting from solar being a really smart financial move to being something you almost have to do. And that's because our good old power grid, well, it's struggling to keep up. And you might be asking, why is the grid struggling? Well, here's the deal. You've got massive new data centers popping up needing tons of power. You've got manufacturing coming back to the US, also super power hungry. The grid itself is old, it's creaky, it's underfunded. The utilities themselves are starting to admit, hey, we might not be able to meet future demand. And building a new power plant, that takes years. You know how long it takes to put solar on a roof? Weeks. All of this is pushing a new idea to the forefront, something called energy security. And this is a huge shift. We're not just talking about saving a few bucks anymore. We're talking about the peace of mind that comes from knowing you'll have power when you need it, no matter what's happening out on the street. And what's the magic key that unlocks this energy security? It's batteries. Battery storage is the game changer. It's what takes your solar panels from being a daytime energy saver to being your own personal 24/7 power plant. A storm knocks out the grid? Who cares? Your lights are on, your fridge is humming, your family is safe. No more fumbling around for a noisy, smelly generator. So where does this all leave us? What's the new reality? It means the whole conversation about solar is fundamentally changing. We're graduating from talking about discounts and incentives to talking about long-term, essential, must-have value. Let me try an analogy. I want you to imagine it's the early 2000s, and someone comes to you and says, hey, I'll let you lock in your price for gasoline at $1.61 a gallon for the next 20 years. Would you take that deal? Of course you would. It would be one of the best financial decisions of your life. Well, guess what? That is exactly what solar does for your electricity bill. This isn't just buying a product, it's buying a 25-year hedge against inflation. You are basically fixing the cost of one of your biggest monthly expenses, while everyone else is stuck watching their bills go up, up, and up. You know, it really helps to think about the rule of three when it comes to our essential needs. No matter what happens in the world, we all need three things. We need housing, we need food, and we need energy. Energy to live our modern lives. Solar isn't just a cool technology. It's how you take control and secure that third essential pillar of your life. So let's go back to that first question. Is solar doomed without the 30% tax credit? Absolutely not even close, because that tax credit, it was just a chapter. It was never the whole story. The real story of solar has always been about crashing costs, about reliability, and about security. And as we look to the future, that story is only going to get more powerful. The question isn't, can I afford to go solar anymore? The real question is becoming, can I afford not to?